Hey, 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 this is Cruzy Boozy, back here with Childsy Wildsy, and we're going to talk about the 6+1 traits of writing.
I'm so happy I got a nickname now.
Okay, so ideas is the first trait of writing that you'll be graded on for any writing that you do in high school. Ideas are the most important because they're the heart of the message. Ideas is like the content, what you actually put in your writing. So in an argumentative essay, which is what we're writing, ideas would include your hook. Is it effective at grabbing the audience's attention? Your bridge. Does it effectively transition from the hook to the preview, and does it give the reader all the information they would want to know about the background of the issue and the controversy about the topic? Your thesis statement, is it clear? Is it strong? Is it logical? And is it argumentative? And also, is it a statement? Remember, your thesis should never be a question. Your topic sentences, which is the first sentence of each body paragraph, those need to be clear and they need to support your thesis statement directly. And then your supporting details from research are a very important part of your ideas, because if you have no research, then your argument really is not convincing. And your clincher, remember, that's the last part of your conclusion, so you want it to be memorable and to leave your reader thinking. So let's give an example of ideas in a joke. So, knock knock.
Who's there?
Dwayne.
Dwayne who?
Dwayne the tub, I'm drowning.
We should have talked about this beforehand. Alright, organization, which you just saw an example of a lack of, is the structure of the piece, the logical pattern of ideas. So it's basically how you set it up. So the organization and argumentative essay is transitions, order of ideas, follow the pre-writing outline, connections between paragraphs are strong, and clear introduction, body, and conclusion. So you got to set it up so it makes sense to the reader and helps with your argument.
Yeah. Yo, I love this book. This book is so well organized. It's got colorful tabs over here to separate the chapters, and when you open it up, it has headings and it has little pulled out boxes. It's got transitions in here, but I think the irony, or the true irony in this situation, is that I'm sitting here at Mr. Child's desk, and this is not a good example of organization.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Alright, voice. Voice is also known as tone, which we talked about last semester. Voice is the soul, personality, whether or not your personal, what's the word I'm looking for? Personal personality, personal voice, whatever.
Personal.
Whether or not you as a person are shining through your words. So it should be, like I said, the writer coming through the words, and your personality and your engagement with the topic. If you're not passionate about your topic, it's obvious, and your reader will not be interested in reading it either, because your voice will not be engaging. So in an argumentative essay, it's different than in creative writing, okay? So creative writing, your voice can be all crazy, all over the place, because creative writing has fewer rules. Well, for a persuasive or an argumentative research paper, you have to have a professional voice, a formal voice, which is why you avoid using words like you and slang and I and me. You have to sound knowledgeable, which you do by understanding and citing your research, and you have to be convincing. So you have to make arguments that make yourself sound intelligent.
This is where it's really easy to tell when you guys plagiarize something, because it'll be like a Taylor Swift song, and then somebody really smart came on and started talking. Okay? So,
hey, some people like Taylor Swift.
Uh-huh. So, make sure you watch your voice. Okay, so if this offensive player has the ball, then the defender is going to press while our other defender drops back in support. So now this defender can keep an eye on here in case this player gets beat, but if they pass the ball, then this defender will press and this defender will drop. That's how you play defense.
Alright. So I'm going to give you my version of this, and then you guys can decide which person has a better voice to talk about soccer. So this is what I would call a circle. also a circle, but I prefer this one better because there's a heart in the middle. And then these are X's. So what you could do with this is you could play tic-tac-toe, or we could talk about soccer, in which case I would say this is a drill in which people just run around and around and around to practice their quickness.
All right, sentence fluency. Rhythm and flow of language. So it's kind of the same thing as voice. It has to sound the same throughout. How it sounds read aloud. How the writing plays to the ear. Free of awkward word patterns. Sentences vary in lengths. Beginnings of sentences are different. You don't want you don't want you in there at all.
Mrs. Cruz talked. Mrs. Cruz taught a lesson. The students listened. The students were confused. Mrs. Cruz helped the students. The problem with those sentences is that they all begin with a noun. So that's where you have to remember nobody wants to listen to a song that sounds disjointed and jerky like that. So you have to make sure that you make your writing sound like music.
Your types of sentences vary. So you have the simple, you have compound, you have complex, you have compound complex when you want to show off.
Well, I wish we would have taught them about that.
Oh, man, that's last semester. That's a whole year ago.
They better remember it.
All right. So, well crafted, that the reader moves through the piece with ease. This is Childsy Wildsy, or whatever my name is, and I'm reading some sample student essays. My dad was in front of the forest. I ran and hugged him. My face was wet because I was happy.
That's really, really sentimental, but also very choppy.
My sister hates brownies. My sister is short. My sister isn't nice to me. My sister is the meanest person I know. I don't like her.
Yeah, that sounds like it's written by a 4th grader.
But
or no,
sis,
like a 4-year-old.
I do like you. I like my sister.
Okay. Alright, that's way too choppy.
Okay, so word choice. You want your word choice to be colorful. You want to use precise language. Remember talking about connotation versus denotation. You want your words to have connotations that are appropriate for what you're trying to say. You want your words to inspire the reader. You want to use powerful and descriptive words, not words that you would have used in 3rd grade. And ideally, while remaining professional, you want to emotionally move the reader. So in an argumentative essay, you want to avoid inflammatory words, which are words that would offend anyone in your audience. And remember, you're taking a side on a controversial issue. So half the people who read your essay are not going to agree with you. So don't call people who disagree with you stupid, or don't call something in your essay like a belief that someone has stupid, because that's going to offend half of your audience. Also think about the words connotations of the words that you're choosing, like I already said. There's nothing wrong with using figurative language, putting a metaphor or a simile or imagery or alliteration in your formal writing, because that makes it more interesting to read. And avoid words on the do not use list, which you can find a copy of that both in our classroom and on Haiku, and it's really easy to look for those in your essay. All you have to do is press Control F on your keyboard and then type in the word, and it'll show you everywhere in your document that those words popped up. The exception would be if those words are in a direct quote, you have to keep them. You can't change wording in a direct quote.
Have you heard about that new word, corpulent?
Fat.
No, corpulent. How about emaciated?
Skinny. I know that one.
Yeah, well, that donut is probably not going to get you there.
It'll give me corpulent.
Yeah. How about erudite?
What?
Smart means smart, Mr. Childs.
Say, all you have to do is press Control F on your keyboard and then type in the word, and it'll show you everywhere in your document that those words popped up. The exception would be if those words are in a direct quote, you have to keep them. You can't change wording in a direct quote.
All right, conventions. I constantly feel out of place, and it's a comma. So, or no, it's an apostrophe.
I think it could be either, because people are always putting both commas and apostrophes in the wrong spots.
Yeah. We'll argue about that later. I'm trying to figure out what the picture is. All right, so correctness. Grammar, which is a tough one for everybody. Common usage, spelling, punctuation, capitalization. All right, depending on what you're using, the spelling, if you're using a school computer, you'll have to turn on the spell check. It will help with punctuation. It will not be 100% correct. Capitalization. An I should be a capital I if it's by itself. That's one of the biggest things I've seen lately.
And people are not capitalizing the important words and titles, which, remember, that's very important. And what we mean by common usage is whether or not, if you have words like there, and there, to, and to, affect, and effect, you have to use the correct form of those words. And if that's difficult for you to do, then you have two choices. You can look the words up and make sure you're using the right words, or you can have somebody who knows them really well help you proofread your essay.
I'm trying to start a campaign to get rid of the to, that is T-O-O. I hate that word.
I love to. It reminds me of a baby.
All right. I don't know why. Maybe T-W-O.
I've got nothing to back that up, so that would not be a good argument to make in an essay. I don't know why, it just does.
All right. Conventions in argumentative writing. Ask yourself, how much work would a copy editor need to do? I can't read.
Need to do.
See, don't do that on the writing. Prepare the piece for publication.
In other words, many people only do one quick go-around of editing their essay and then they turn it in. If you are legitimately wanting to earn an A on your essay, you need to revise and edit for like a week straight, ideally, and also have other people looking at it too. And if you were legitimately publishing something, you would probably do this for more like a year.
Also, you should find grammar memes because they're funny. And there's one about grandma, eating grandma.
I almost put that on here, but I thought everybody had already seen it.
Yeah. Grammarly.
Let's eat grandma
awesome.
versus let's eat grandma. That's kind of gross.
So that comma's important.
All right, presentation. This is the +1 aspect of the 6+1 traits of writing. So presentation refers to the final format of your essay. If you look at the picture on this screen, that would be something that would not receive a good rating for presentation because it's handwritten. Your final format of your essay needs to be neat, and it needs to be typed, and it needs to be pleasing to the eye, and it has to follow MLA guidelines, which you guys learned about those in High School 101, and you also have the MLA refresher video for this class, so there's really no excuse for not having everything you need for the presentation. And if your printer at home is just on the fritz, then print it out at school so that it's not all weird and funky.
Okay, the MLA presentation is pretty easy. If you get stuck, we made the video for Google Docs. There's videos out there for Microsoft Office. Also, there are pre-made templates in Google Docs for MLA format. So there shouldn't be any reason for not having a good grade for the presentation.
Booyah! And this is Cruisy Boozy and Jolsy Wowsy. We out.
Word.